If you're a mentalist struggling to build connections with your audience, this is the video for you. You are going to learn some of my best tips to get the best reactions from your audience and connect with them on a truly personal level that will absolutely blow their minds. What is good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to another video. Today we got Mentalism 101 episode 15, all about building a connection with your audience. Now this is one of the most important things in mentalism. It helps draw those reactions out of your audience member and really makes them connect with the material that you're performing. So I'm going to talk about how to do it, what it is, and a whole bunch of tips and tricks that you need on your journey to becoming a mentalist. Now, if you haven't seen the previous episodes of Mentalism 101, go check those out. They're very important. This series is all about turning you into the best mentalist you can be, starting from 0, going all the way to 100. Now, if you want to supercharge your mentalism, I have some great news for you. Right here on the channel, I have a mentalism membership where there are currently over 35 mentalism tutorials. We're currently in the book test chapter. I'm breaking down and revolutionizing Practical Mental Magic by Theodore Anneman. It is an absolute must in mentalism material. You'll learn the fundamentals and a ton of incredible principles. I've also recently launched my Wizard membership tier where you can unlock that course and a whole bunch of other masterclasses and lectures, including the Propless Mentalism Masterclass and my Bill at Work lecture. That is all available at the link in the description, or you can join right here. And if you would like a private lesson, links are available in the description, and I can help you one-on-one become the best magician or mentalist you can be. We can work on absolutely anything you want, get you some sets, get you some walk-around mentalism and some workable routines ready for you to go out and blow minds. So with all that said, guys, let's not waste too much more time and let's jump right into the video. So what is it, and what do I mean by building a connection? Now, in mentalism, building a connection means forming that emotional bond or that strong bond with your audience member. It can come in several different ways. It can be more psychological, it can be more of a physical bond, an emotional bond, but you want to develop some kind of relationship, some kind of rapport, and have them ultimately be invested in what you're performing. Not only what you're performing, but you as a performer. And that is one of the key differences, right? I think a lot of mentalists approach this as, I want to have an engaging routine, right? I want an engaging plot, an engaging premise, but they forget all about themselves being engaging and allowing themselves to be someone that these people feel like they can connect with. And that's such an important thing. You need to come across as someone who's personable, someone who gets along with people, who's friendly, and that's just going to make people feel comfortable with you and ultimately open up to you. And your performances are just going to go so much better from there. You really need to think about yourself as a person. If you're someone who's more shy, you need to start to break out of that comfort zone, practice in your everyday life, get more comfortable so you come across as more of an outgoing person that people are willing to have a connection with in the first place. It doesn't matter how amazing your routine is, how amazing the premise is or the hook, if you're not someone who they're even willing to open up to and build a connection with. It's not just about performing to them, but it's about performing with them. You guys are a team working together on this shared experience. You want to think about it like this. Try to always develop a relationship with your spectator, even if only for a few minutes, so that they can feel heard, listened to, and kind of cared about in a sense. Like you're invested in this experience as much as they are. It's not, hey, look at me, I am the mentalist offering you something, bow down to me because I am doing you a favor by giving you my time and showing you this. While I agree that you are the one doing them the favor by sharing this incredible experience, you don't want to come off like that. You don't want to come off like, you're the one providing all the value here. You need to pretend and actually, even if you're not, come across like you're genuinely interested in this engagement, this experience, and it's an amazing experience as much for you as it is for them. When you show them how much you care about it, they will end up caring about it a lot more, if not as much as you do. They will be engaged, invested, and ultimately really want to believe in what you're doing because they have some kind of rapport. Think of it like this. If you have a random stranger run up to you on the street and say, hey, I just saw a UFO. Okay, you're not gonna believe them. You're gonna think they're a crazy person, right? Whereas if you have your significant other or a family member, someone you really care about come up to you and say, hey, look, like I out last night, I'm pretty sure I actually saw a UFO. Even if you're so skeptical of aliens, you're a lot more likely to want to believe them. Because why? Because you have a connection with them. You have that relationship. So if you can translate that to your mentalism and try your best to develop some kind of connection and relationship from the get-go, well then, down the line, when you're actually in that performance about to do your reveal, you need them to do something. Think about where you are. You are now at a position where they're more likely to want to believe what you're doing because you're kind of like a friend, right? The more you can be like a friend, the more their guard is down and they're willing to believe you and play along and accept with what you're saying. It's also, in a sense, about like building intrigue. You don't just want your audience thinking, how does he do it? How does he do it? How does he do it? You want them to transition into, why is he doing it? Why does this matter? What is so interesting about this? And that's the questions you want to think about asking. If you're just approaching it as, hey, I'm going to show you a trick, I'm going to read your mind, then it's all about the how. But if you work on developing a rapport, an experience, building a connection with that person, then ultimately segueing into these effects, now they are going to be less so looking at the how and more so trying to understand the experience and the why. And the final thing is, I think it can really help separate you because you're kind of inviting them into a moment that will hopefully feel like more than just magic, more than just a typical magic trick. It'll feel like something a lot more personal, more human, and more important to them, right? If you can build the connection in the right way through yourself, but also through the plot and the routine, and have it be something that's more meaningful to them. They'll just be so much more invested in it. I'm so excited to announce that my full live lecture is now available right here on the channel. In this live lecture, you'll get to see my full 2-hour mental minimalism lecture that I gave to a room full of magicians at the IBM Ring 12 in Buffalo, New York. This is an incredible lecture. I have put so much time and energy into this lecture, encompassing everything that I am as a performer, everything that's here on my YouTube channel, every philosophy that I believe in, and boiling that down into the key principles, fundamentals, and the best effects to deliver a groundbreaking lecture. Mental minimalism focuses on minimalism in mentalism, but also covers the bridge between card magic and mentalism and how to perform the two of them together in a way that doesn't detract from either one and instead enhances them both without having to choose which one you want to do. As a minimalist, this lecture focuses on how to get the most out of your material with the absolute bare minimum props, stuff that you can do anytime, anywhere. In the lecture, you'll hear me talk about theory, discuss dozens of methods and ideas, clearly cover and explain several effects, as well as perform them all to a room full of magicians. This lecture is designed both for mentalists and card magicians who are interested in my theory on the minimal approach to their magic. This over 2-hour lecture is available on the Wizard tier of my membership, along with a ton of other content. If you're interested in seeing my live lecture, you can sign up right here for the Wizard tier of my membership or down at the link in the description. Now let's talk about why this is all important. I've touched on it a little bit, and I've also made a video in my How to Make Your Magic Better series about building connection. That is more so focused on the general magic side. This one's a lot more mentalism specific, but I would recommend checking out that video as well if you haven't seen it already. So the first reason it's important is because it just makes your effects that much more strong. If your effects are something that the audience cares about and they have a connection not only to you but to the effect, right? You had them think about something important to them. Well, now it's so much more impactful, so much more impressive, so much more personal, and so much more meaningful. And that's all the things you want in your performance. Your audience then won't just remember what happened. They'll remember how they felt when it happened, right? It's presented as a trick. Hey, think of a random name. You're thinking of the name James. Yes? Then they'll go to their friends. Hey, it was cool. This mentalist, he asked me to think of a name and he guessed it. It was so cool. But now if you say, I want you to think back to, a friend who's really important from your childhood, and now they're invested in this, and you say, this is maybe someone you haven't seen in a while, but I feel like you missed that connection with them. This is Stacy or whatever. They'll say, oh my God, I met this mentalist. It was incredible. He thought of one of my childhood friends and he just named her. I was thinking about her and he named her. Maybe they'll call that person and, reconnect and tell them the memory. It's just so much more personal now, so much stronger, right? And they'll always cherish the how they felt rather than the what happened. And if you think about some of your strongest memories, there's a feeling that's always attached to them, and that's how you always remember them through years and years and years. There's so many memories. I always think about how many memories I've forgotten and I'll never think about again, which is a really eerie thing to think about. Sorry if I put that thought in your head, but there are so many memories that you'll just never remember, and it's because they didn't mean much because there was no emotion tied to them. You can't say, think of a happy memory and that thing will come up, or think of a sad memory. But when you have an emotion tied to it, it's always something that is going to be able to be accessed. And you want to leave these long-lasting memories with them. I think a really important thing with building a connection that gets overlooked is, as much as I think mentalism is stronger than other types of magic in a lot of ways, it can also be very dry if done wrong. right? Because a lot of it is just you talking and performing. And if you're not a good performer, if you're performing dry or whatever it may be, it's gonna fall flat, right? It can be minutes and minutes of talking before anything happens. And then it gets really dry feeling. But if they're actually invested in what you're saying, what you're performing, how you're saying it, well, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I wanna pay attention because I wanna see where this is going. I wanna know if he can guess my best friend from high school's name, right? So that is so important. The other side of it is when you don't have a connection, it just ends up feeling more like a puzzle to them, right? It feels like, okay, this doesn't matter, he's just showing me a trick. And if we can establish that connection now, it's gonna feel a lot more like real mind reading than just a trick. Because if it's a trick, why does it matter if I think of someone who's important to me, right? That's what they could think. But if it's actually something that's connecting to them, well now, okay, it kind of makes sense. You know, he said he needed something important for me to think of or this wouldn't work. So now there's almost a layer of credibility that's added. Another thing that's super important, another thing I think that also gets overlooked with this, is the more you can win the audience over through building that connection, they actually like you. They don't just like you because you're a magician. If you watch some of my street magic videos, for example, you'll see at some of the end of some of the videos, it's usually, you'll see when I've done the last trick for a group, like particularly like a group of guys, right? And most of the time you see I do a good job developing that connection. We're all handshaking, we're, you know, bro hugging, all that stuff. Like it's because I'm not just some guy showing them a trick. I'm now someone that they actually like. I don't know if respect is the right word, but it's someone who they are more friendly with, right? To the point where they're like, okay, like I actually want to follow this guy. Like he seems like a good, genuine guy. I enjoyed this experience for him, not just for the magic, but for him. And you can see that in their body language and how the situations end. And that's what you want. You want your audience ultimately to like you, not just the tricks you're performing, right? And so it's really important to kind of earn that respect and build that connection that way. The other thing it will do, again, do your friends and family heckle you? Yes, okay, they might heckle you in the sense of them, you know, just being your friends and family, so they're free to say whatever they want to you and they don't have the, you know, the guard up as much. But, you know, in general, if you ask your family, hey, you know, don't heckle me, I know you're my family and you'd love to heckle me, but, you know, in general, your family is gonna be a lot more nice and accepting of what you're doing and just play along and listen because they like you, right? They're your friend or they're your family. With a stranger, it's very easy for them to just say, who's this random guy? I'm gonna mess with him, because they have no respect. They don't care about you. So if you can establish that connection, that respect, you'll get so many less hecklers, because people are like, I don't want to mess with this guy. I like him. He's a good guy. He's cool. He's talented, whatever, right? They want you to succeed at that point. They become emotionally invested in you. And on that same note, it really gives you control, because you can't just walk up to a stranger and tell them what to do, but you can walk up to a family member and, you know, tell them what to do or ask them to do something for you. So you have a lot more control over the situation when, again, people respect you and appreciate what you're doing and actually value your performance. I think one thing you can also get from the proper connection building, and this is more of the side of the performance side, right? You think about building a connection. We'll get to this when we talk about techniques, but the sort of pacing that you want to do to make your mind reading feel real, and that's part of building a connection. You want to make it feel as real as possible. The pacing can be really nice, like from a theatrical perspective, like with the long pauses and the here, touch my hand or touch fingers or focus on this. Some of those theatric side of things that are actually techniques we're going to talk about to help build the connection are also contributing to a really nice theatrical moment from just the outside perspective looking in at the theatrics of the performance. And then I think building a connection can help your character feel more real, because again, you're being more genuine, being more yourself, and they'll pick up on that, and ultimately they'll then believe more of what you're doing because you're a genuine person. So they won't assume that, you know, you're lying quite as much as you might be, which is just perfect for establishing more credibility. Finally, I really think like building a connection, more so with some of the techniques we'll talk about, can really help, again, hide method. I'm all about hiding method, because one, it makes the audience connected to you, so they're focused on the experience, not the trick. But two, some of these little process related techniques can really help to hide the actual method. So on that note, let's talk about how to do it. So the first thing I want to talk about is that process part of things. Process draws people in, and I've talked all about process in an earlier episode. That is one of the most fundamental episodes in this series. You have to watch it. But process is all about the thing that you apparently do to make people think that you're reading minds. So it's the, imagine this thing here for me for a second. scream that name in your mind. Okay, touch my finger for a moment. All these things that have nothing to do with how you're reading their mind. It's not your billet peak, it's not your billet switch, it's not your app, but it's the thing that they're gonna latch onto. And you need to act and make those things as believable as possible. Because then, you know, if someone is retelling the story, they're probably not gonna say, oh yeah, he had me write down something and then he guessed it. They'll say, oh yeah, he had me think of something and then I visualized it, and then he was looking in my eyes and then he had me scream it in my mind and then he touched my finger and he named it, right? Those are the better theatrics. We talked about that. These things enhance the theatrics, but they also really help your audience feel like what you're doing is real, helps hide the method, and it's super good ultimately for building that connection through the lens of it feeling real. Now I just want to touch on the people who don't like to make their mentalism feel as real, and they like to make it feel more jokey, or they kind of say it's a trick. I mean, I don't agree with that approach, but it is kind of a choice. I also don't do like the whole psychic thing. I'm a very gray area guy. I like to leave it up to the audience to interpret, but I think you can still add moments of process to at least help the audience latch onto these things and help hide the method, right? Even if you're less so trying to make it feel real. But ultimately, whatever your shtick is, whatever your gimmick is, you need to play into that and make sure the audience feels like it's genuine. Certain things you can do for your process are different gestures, right? With your hands, boom. I mean, that's a little corny, but you know, different things like that. Some kind of physical touches, you know, touching fingers, hands on the shoulder, touching their hand, whatever it is, as the thing that's kind of giving you that reading. Visualizations are one of my favorites, so having them visualize this object or that name or greeting that person or whatever it is. And I talk about a whole bunch more ideas in the process video. The next thing, and the easiest thing you can do, is ask them to think about meaningful things. So stop with the think of a random object, or think of a random name, or think of, oh, a word from this random list, right? Think of your star sign. Think of an important childhood friend. Think of an important memory. Think of an object, but have an important memory attached to this object. Things like that instantly, without you having to do any work, make things so much more involved and personal. And I think if you do anything, this is the #1 tip that you can do to really enhance that connection and enhance your mentalism. Like I said, names of loved one, special places, anything that can kind of naturally build that emotional tie. I really want you guys to not just go through the motions when you perform, try to feel, right? Feel what you want your audience to feel. So if you say, I want you to think of a very important memory to you, right? You see that even the tone in my voice, it's serious because this is an important memory, so I'm acting serious. I don't say, I want you to think of a very important memory for you, right? Like, there's a tone shift that is really key. And if I'm having them think of a happy memory, I wouldn't say, can you think of a very happy memory for me? It's giving the wrong feeling. You want to tie in the emotions that you want them to feel into what you're giving off. And then think about it. If you're asking them to think of something important and you're trying to read it from their mind, well, that thing should be just as important to you in a way, because you're one picking up on that thing, and the whole weight of your routine relies on you picking up on that thing. So you really need to be invested in getting that. That's an important piece of information to you. So if you treat that as an important safeguarded secret, if that fits the plot, or a really meaningful name or memory, well, now they're going to treat it that way as well. I think the utilization of storytelling can be really good. You have to be careful with it because it can be really bad. But storytelling in the right way, creating a narrative, a short personal anecdote, or have them tell a story, or any kind of fictional story, can be a great way to hook them in. But then if you put some emotion behind that story, or you can tell a story that everyone can relate to or something like that, it's very good and very easy to then get people to come into your space, understand what kind of person you are, especially if it's something relatable, right? Then right away you've built rapport and some kind of relationship with them. A big thing, huge, is slow down. I urge you guys to slow down with your mentalism. I think mentalism, you should take your time. You know, some people say, oh, it gets flat, it gets boring, but if you take these other tips and apply them with the right pacing, it's gonna enhance things, and it's all about tone. If I'm trying to come across as a serious mentalist and I'm just like, okay, I want you to think of this. Okay, great, visualize this thing for me. Yep, okay, perfect. Now touch my hand. Okay, yes, and you're thinking of fly, right? Whereas if I take my time, these pauses, these dramatic pauses, like I'm really thinking of something profound that I'm about to ask them, staring off into the distance, like, you know, I don't do this with everyone, but I feel like I'm getting a feeling that today there might be something here between me and you. You know, I think memories are something that so special to us in a lot of ways. You know, we all have these memories that it's, you know, are forgotten and we'll never think of again, and it's kind of sad and unfortunate. But I want you to think of a memory that you still latch onto, that you still have at the front of your mind. Something that's important to you, right? Hold on to that memory, bring it to the front of your mind. And I want you to focus on someone who you were there with in that moment, okay? Think of their name for me. And I want this to be someone that you have some kind of connection with. Okay, can you visualize them here? Yes, okay, I'm, yeah. Fantastic, okay, I'm seeing them right there, right? Anyway, that was obviously way longer, but you can feel from the tension and the drama and the seriousness that I'm approaching and the emotion I'm putting into the performance, they're gonna get that feeling from me and they're gonna kind of feel and respond in a very similar way. Remember, you're not just creating tricks, you're creating moments, so use pacing, timing, all these different things. And then just one last thing, I kind of touched on this already, but I wanna reemphasize, look, I think you wanna have at least an element of ambiguity in the mentalism that you do. I definitely don't agree with lying and saying you're psychic and you have special powers and you can just see into their mind. I always say, you know, I don't have a portal into your mind, but if we work together, I can use various techniques, body language, suggestion, influence, psychology, to try to get at my best educated guess at what it is you're thinking of. That's usually my kind of shtick, my explanation. But I still, all the things I do, I leave a lot of room for interpretation as to what is going on. And at the end of the day, if you don't make some elements of it feel real, in my opinion, then what's the point? They're not gonna act like it's real if you're not acting like it's real. And maybe that fits your character. Maybe you're more of a comedy mentalist or something, or you're just someone who really doesn't wanna like lie at all, but then you're just doing tricks and it's gonna, you know, really take away from the method and the beauty of the performance in a lot of ways. So, you know, everyone has your choice, but just make sure your tone, your pacing, your body language all reinforce the character that you're trying to put across. And I would highly recommend you have a little bit of at least ambiguity, and that will allow you to really feed into being real. So I want to end this video on an example. I'm going to play for you a recent performance that I posted on the channel of me doing a simple name guess, name mind reading. This is a simple billet routine. Yes, I want you to see the great reactions that it gets, but more importantly, I want you to pay attention to some of the things we've talked about in this video. Pay very close attention to the process, the different things I do, having her touch my finger, having her imagine seeing this person here, what they're wearing, how she might greet them. Look at the pauses, the pacing, how I go through it. It's a longer routine, right? It could have been really quick, but I drew it out. I made it feel a lot more real. This is a very real feeling piece of mentalism. I have her think of an important person, not just a random person, right? Very important. Think about how the tension gets built throughout the routine all the way until the last moment when I hit them with the reveal, and all that tension gets released. And you can see from their body language that they're invested in the performance, what I'm saying, and then that reaction just proves that they are genuinely intrigued.
Here's what I want to try. Something a little bit crazy. Okay, let's do this. Can I try it with you? Can you think of a name for me? A name of someone important to you. Don't pick his name, please, but a name of someone important to you, okay? You have this name in your mind? Imagine this person here with us. Imagine how you would greet them, what you would say to them. Now, you don't have to confirm or deny anything I'm about to say. I'll just tell you what I'm picking up on. So imagine them here. Right away, I see, yeah, obviously it's someone important, but I see, imagine the name, spell out the name. Imagine the number of letters. I see there's like a, again, you don't have to confirm or deny. I'm just gonna tell you what I'm picking up. Because I don't want you to think you're giving me anything, but this is it's like a medium length name, like 3 to 7 letters, somewhere in that range. Okay, imagine what they're wearing. Like what you last saw them in, or what just comes to mind when you imagine this person. Immediately there's like a black or white color. I'm not sure where exactly that is. Okay, great. You strike me as kind of a visual person, like you need to visualize things a little bit. Yeah, that's right? Yeah, okay, great. So you're a little bit tough. It's not coming through clearly. I haven't got the name yet. I have an idea of what you're seeing in terms of this person, but the name's not coming through. So what I like to do is a little exercise when we get to this. This will help you visualize. So just write their name, big and bold. I'm gonna look away, write it there. You can show them, and then let me know when you've done that. Have you done that? No. All right, show them. Good? Yeah. All right, so this is the name. You guys all know the name. Now I want you to take a minute, stare at it, really visualize it. Get all those letters at the front of your mind, every curve, every line. You feel like that image is clear now? So now you have that connection. Just imagine that person. Imagine that sort of paper is like a physical representation of them, and you can hold them and you can kind of feel them, right? Okay, I just want to try to nail this now. Look at me, say the name in your head. So my name's Reed. I want you to say, Reed, I'm thinking of, in your head, all in your head, say Reed, I'm thinking of, and then the name. Say that, imagine screaming it to me in your mind. Can you hold up one finger? And as it touches, scream the name in your head. Sam.
What? No way.
Is that it?
What?
That was crazy. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Where is it?
So now that you've seen that, again, reflect on some of these things I've said in this video. I think this is a good example performance. I like a lot of things about this performance. So hopefully with all that, you've found some value and you can go out now and build a fantastic connection with your audiences. If you want to learn an incredible mentalism effect where you can apply these tips, go check out this video right here. You will not be disappointed. This is a killer effect. All right, guys, that is it from me on this video. I hope you enjoyed Mentalism 101. This is one of my favorite series to work on, and I hope you guys love it. Let me know down in the comments any topics that you would like me to cover in future episodes of this series. I have an entire list. We'll probably have like 50 episodes of this series somewhere down the line, but I'm always looking for more ideas to bring to the channel. So if you have those, please leave them for me. As always, if you'd like to join my exclusive channel membership or get some more info on a private lesson, links are down in the description. With all that said, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.